So we've already touched this, both of you guys have touched on this a little bit already, but will you look for opportunities to eliminate duplication of services to reduce costs for your department?
Absolutely. And I would start with myself, right? When I got onto the county board, I was appalled to learn that a part-time position got a public pension. I said, how can this be? How can a county board member qualify for a pension, right? And I led the charge to put it on the agenda, and we voted unanimously, much to the chagrin of some of my colleagues, to kick ourselves out of the pension, okay? We never had a pay increase. We got a small stipend for being the county board member. But I would lead by example. I would return the money to the city of Peoria. I will not join the pension system as the treasurer. This is a $120,000 a year position. I'm not a rich person. I could use that money. I could use health insurance. I'm self-employed. But if you're going to ask someone else to do something, you have to start by leading by example. And that's what I would do. We have to have people that are going to run for elected office that are going to mean what they say and say what they mean. And if we don't have that, we have problems. So, yeah, stop.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sorry.
Mrs. Somerville, same
Yes.
question to you. Would you try and find ways to eliminate duplication of services to reduce costs in your position?
Definitely. There's no need to have services that are duplicated. But like I said in the beginning, this city treasurer's position is a full-time position. Okay? So what that means is that I would be stepping away from my other place of employment, and this would be my full-time job. To ask my employees, or to say me leading by example by not taking a salary or a pension, it's not anything that I would ever ask of my employees that spend their hard-earned, time and pay tax dollars as well. No, that's not what I'm going to say. But I will say we will not duplicate services. I will be a full-time treasurer in the office just as much as my employees are in the office, not going off doing other jobs and other obligations. This will be my first and foremost, my biggest priority.
Awesome. Thank you both. Mrs. Somerville, the question to you is now. If elected, please state your top 2 priorities. Why are they your priorities, and how do you plan to accomplish them? We'll go ahead and give an additional 30 seconds for this. It's a
Okay.
three-part question.
Well, that's kind of my top 2. Okay.
Right.
Well, customer service and accessibility is big for me. Going into somewhere, feeling welcomed, seeing a smile, that can make all the difference in the world. A lot of times, people that come into the treasurer's office, they're not happy because they're paying fines, they're paying fees, they're paying taxes. Money is leaving them. So when you come in, you're not always happy to be in that office. I would make sure that was one of the top priorities. Tax dollars, yes, of course I want to save tax dollars. I'm a taxpayer as well. I want to make sure that the citizens of Peoria fully understand where their money is going. When they pull up the financial reports or the budget, it's easily understood. Anybody that pulls it up may find it hard to understand. So I would like to change it and make it where it's easily understood and they know exactly where their tax dollars are going, how much we're in debt, all of that. Those are my priorities.
Awesome. Thank you. Mr. Morris, the same question to you. Your top 2 priorities. Why are they your priorities, and how do you plan to accomplish those priorities in office?
Number 1 priority is to try to assist in saving the city money. I've said it a couple of times, I'll say it again, we're being crushed with our pension debt. It's driving people away, and we cannot keep adding a new CSO tax and then raising it, and adding a garbage tax and raising it, and adding a parcel pension tax and raising it, and then saying we can celebrate because we haven't raised your property taxes, right? And by the way, property tax is probably going to be next because each one of these has been a 1-year Band-Aid. It's been a 1-year gap. So number 1 is save the taxpayers' money. And I think I've given concrete examples of what I would try to do, starting with myself. Number 2 is being an advocate and a mouthpiece. And I'm being as respectful as I can be here. Most people don't even know who the city treasurer is right now. If you lined up 100 people out on the street and said, who's the city treasurer? Most of them don't know who the treasurer is. Why? because the treasurer has not been an advocate for the taxpayers. The treasurer has been statutorily responsible, receive, record, report. The treasurer needs to be a mouthpiece for all of us. The treasurer needs to stand on top of the tallest point in the city of Peoria and scream at the top of their lungs, this is what we're bringing in, and this is what we're spending, and this is how short we are. They need to be an advocate. They need to hold periodic press conferences. And I agree with something my opponent said. The website needs to be updated. I mean, you can get on there and surf around, and you can't. And yeah, there's stuff on there, but the average person can't even find the budget. They can't find the numbers. I agree with her on that. That absolutely needs to be cleaned up. But advocate, tax savings.
Awesome, thank you. So those are definitely some questions about the role. Now we have a couple here to wrap up that are more about yourselves and about each other.
Okay.
So Mr. Morris, we'll start with you. Please list 3 words you believe others use to describe you.
Honest, determined, and fearless.
Awesome. And same question to you, Mrs. Somerville. 3 words that you believe others are used to describe you.
Honest, hardworking, and truly dedicated.
Fantastic. All right, next one here is, what is your leadership style, and how will you work to support your staff in that leadership style?
Is it to me?
Yes, you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Like I told you earlier today, my leadership style is, of course, to lead by example. So if I'm expecting you to be in the office from 8 to 5, I'm going to be in the office from 8 to 5. I truly lead by example. I always go in and assess. I talk constantly with my employees on ways we can better their day-to-day operations. That's what I do. That's how I lead. I lead with my heart, and I lead by example.
Awesome. To you, Mr. Morris, what is your leadership style, and how will you use that leadership style to support your staff?
My leadership style is I try to get as much information as I can get from as many sources, so that I can make a good, informed decision on whatever the issue at hand is. I try to bring out the best in my employees. I have a staff and have managed a staff for years, and I try to build a consensus. I want people to feel ownership and buy-in and feel like they're part of a team. I don't know all the employees in this office, but nothing that I said this evening would suggest that an employee would work for free. I'm suggesting that an elected official can lead by example. If it was fun, we wouldn't get paid to do it, right? It's a job. A lot of jobs aren't fun, and that's why you pay your people. So I wouldn't expect that anyone would work in that office without being paid appropriately for what they did. But in terms of leadership style, I listen. And I try to gather as much information as I possibly can to come to a good informed decision.
Awesome. Thank you. And the final question tonight, Mr. Morris, we'll start with you. Name one trait that you see in your opponent that you admire.
Well, let me say this. I have never met her until the day we filed our petitions. That's a true story. I never met her, didn't know her. I thought she was a nice person when I met her. I had a nice time talking to her in the, I don't know if you call it the green room, I don't know what in the waiting area. My son is a freshman in high school. Her son, one of her children, is a freshman in high school. I mean, I think probably if we talked, we'd find out we have a lot more in common that we didn't know about each other. I think she's a genuine person. I think she would do a competent job if she's elected. I also believe that you can tell a lot about somebody and how they will serve by the manner in which they campaign. And so if my message resonates with the voters, then great. And if it doesn't, I think they'll be well served by Brooke. I don't have anything negative to say about her, and she seems like a nice person. And my son and her son go to the same high school. My guess is we're going to see a lot more of each other over the next 4 years, no matter what happens.
Hey, Mrs. Somerville, what is one trait you see in your opponent that you admire?
So like you said, I really didn't know him. I didn't know much about him. I think I know his brother a little more than him through the Boys and Girls Club. But I feel like he's a great guy. Like I said, I don't know much about him, but from the conversation that we have had, he's been genuine. He's been, very nice. And I believe that, if he's going to do this job and be a full-time treasurer, he could do the job well. There's nothing bad that, I have to say about him either.
Awesome. And then to wrap up.
Look at that. 2 people saying nice stuff.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Nonetheless, too,
Amazing.
yeah. So to conclude today, you'll both have about 90 seconds to have some closing remarks. Mrs. Somerville, go ahead and start with you with those 90 seconds.
Okay. Again, I would like to thank Moss Bradley Residential Association, the West Bluff Council, and WMBD TV for allowing me to share. Part of my platform and vision is your next City of Peoria treasure. I am truly invested in my hometown, in the growth of my hometown, and I am asking you to bank on Brooke and vote for me April 6th. Thank you and good night.
And to you, Mr. Morris, 90 seconds to have some closing remarks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. Nice to meet you. Listen, I said this earlier, I have a vision about what this office can be, and I have a passion for what this office can be. And if that resonates with the voters, then good. And if it doesn't, then that's okay too. The sun will come up the next day, and my son will be excited when I get home from school, and sometimes my wife will be when I come home from work. Sometimes my wife will be too. The bottom line is I love the city of Peoria. I've spent my whole life here with the exception of school, and I just see some things that are happening in Peoria that make me concerned about the future of this town. And I think that's probably something that Brooke and I share in terms of our love of the city of Peoria and our desire to help the city of Peoria. So I want to be the next treasurer of the city of Peoria. I have the qualifications to do it. I have the skill set to do it. I have the desire to do it. And I will do it in earnest to the best of my ability for nothing if the city wants me. And if they don't, that's okay. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, and I'm still going to love Peoria, and I'm still going to support Peoria, and I'm going to still serve on every board in town that people will let me do it. So I care about the city, and I think I can add something to what they got going over at City Hall.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both so much for tonight, and hope you have the rest of your wonderful night.
It was very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.